Part B of question 1 required students to identify and explain the 5 behavioral science disciplines that have mostly contributed to the understanding of consumer behavior. I'll repeat that students were required to identify and explain 5 behavioral science disciplines that have mostly contributed to the understanding of consumer behavior. For us to have a clearer picture of what consumer behavior is, there are disciplines that have made contributions into this study and understanding of consumer behavior. These disciplines are: number 1, sociology; number 2, psychology; number 3, economics; number 4, anthropology; number 5, social psychology. These 5 are the disciplines that have contributed to the understanding of consumer behavior. So we have attended to the first part, which is to identify. There were 2 parts to this question: to identify, which is what we have done, and the next part is to explain. So a student would have to write brief notes about what sociology is, what psychology is, all the way through to the 5th point, which is social psychology. So let's start with the first one, being sociology. When we talk of sociology, we are basically talking about the behavior of individuals in groups such as families. Individuals behave the way they do because of a socialization process. The socialization process is about how we acquire knowledge, how we get experiences, and how we get exposures through the systems that we are exposed to. These systems, for example, could be schools. Indeed, they could be families. They could be work environments. They could be churches. All these are avenues through which socialization takes place. Sociology itself being the behavior of individuals in groups such as families. And number 2, when talking about psychology, we are referring to the individual behavior and mental processes. Psych means the mind, how we think, how we process information. This can be summarized, or this includes our attitudes, learning, motivation, and cognition. Cognition meaning our application of our minds because we are aware about what we're doing. We are aware, and so there's the cognition process. This particular process could be that of learning, and indeed it can go down to the motivation for learning. For example, people learn or read the Bible to argue with other people. Other people learn and read the Bible to be aware about history. And others read and study the Bible to see how best they can get lessons from that Bible and apply them into their individual lives. It is about learning, the motivation behind the learning, and thereafter the attitudes that an individual displays as a result of what they know, and indeed possibly as a result of what they do not know. And number 3, when it comes to economics, we are basically talking about individual and corporate productivity. Economics being by and large about the creation of wealth, management of that wealth, and distribution of that particular wealth. And that is how come we look at things such as scarcity, meaning a lack or a shortage of supply of a particular item, and economics requires us to be able to choose, to make a choice on what we are going to forego and what we are going to use currently. And that in a way is going to feed into consumption. What is it that we're spending on consumption? Are we spending for the purposes of producing, or we are spending completely for the purposes of consumption and consumption alone? So economics is one of those that has greatly contributed. It is a behavioral science discipline that has contributed to the understanding of consumer behavior. When it comes to anthropology, which is number 4, anthropology is about understanding the past and the present trends relating to human development. The way people behaved in 1995 is different to how people behave today. The way people will behave in 2035 is different from how people are behaving today. Humans develop over time. The study of this development, looking at issues such as culture, linguistic, and the society as a whole, is what is known as anthropology. And when we move on to number 5, which is social psychology, we are talking about how individuals feel, the thoughts that they may have, and the behavior as influenced by others. The truth of the matter is that no matter how much each one of us may be independent, our attitudes, in a way, our feelings, our thoughts, and our behavior is influenced by other people around us. It could be family, it could be priests or pastors or reverends or people in the religious sector. It could be indeed teachers. It could be different many other people. How an individual feels, their thought process, and indeed what they think and behavior can be influenced by other people. The study about all that is what is known as social psychology. So these 5 behavioral science disciplines are what have influenced or contributed in a way to understanding consumer behavior. Number 1, sociology. Number 2, psychology. Number 3, economics. Number 4, anthropology. And number 5, social psychology. Now, they shouldn't be in this particular way that I've listed them. Feel free to list them down in any particular way of your choice. After listing them and identifying them, then you proceed to write brief notes explaining what each means.